Hello everybody and welcome back to another round of the Parabolic Companies J2ICS GT3 Championship here on iRacing. It is time for Brands Hatch and the fourth last round of our season before our American doubleheader starting next week at Sebring and the finale at Bathurst as well, which will be just an hour and a half at the Champions Pick race at the end of the season, or one of them. Also a crown jewel race to crown our champion at the end of the season. It's myself, Ewan O'Leary, and Chris Murphy with you here tonight from Brands Hatch, where it was raining earlier on. We gave you the British weather to begin with, but it looks like that has come to a pretty abrupt end, to be honest with you. And the circuit has dried out. You can see a little bit of the damp patches still off to the sides of the racetrack, but I mean, an hour ago in practice, wet tyres were still the norm. Dry tyres have now been brought out, and you can absolutely see why as well. Not a single piece of wet tarmac on the racing line anymore. And Chris, that'll be a big relief to these drivers. Brands Hatch is a very technical and difficult circuit, and so the wet weather would have only made that worse. This will be a difficult enough race as it is.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of moisture early on in practice. Drivers really struggling with it. So I think, like you said, they're going to be really happy that it's dried out here right now. We've seen a lot of wet races this year, or this season, with the J2ICS, and it's nice to see the dry conditions here for Brands Hatch. It would definitely be a challenge in the wet conditions. You can see a little bit of dampness there on the inside of some of the corners and a couple of puddles right there going into pit lane. But I think it's not going to cause them any problems once we get to racing conditions.
Looks like it's going to be absolutely delightful conditions for these drivers here tonight, which will be a relief to a lot of people here today. Let's have a look, shall we, at the championship standings heading into this round of the championship, because we've only got a few to go now. Sean Dickinson, of course, Dickinson in the session is leading the way, unsurprisingly, back ahead of Joshua Spears now, who's, well, still in second place, I should say. 65 points the gap, though. Then it gets a lot closer. Hayden Fowler is next. That is in Sim Notovin, who has moved up to third in recent weeks, but he's staying where he is last week. Tyler Giselle then next. That is Teagish in our session. Of course, has won a race earlier on in this season. The only other driver other than Dickinson to do so. And Cat Daddy then fifth place, Jason Winucki, who then rounds out the top five. You can see the rest of them behind, starting with Curry Godwin, Joe Albanese, all very close actually on the way further down the field. So pretty close for second place, but unfortunately for us, the overall championship battle is looking very, very simple in drivers, and indeed in the teams championship as well, actually, where SimCity Racing are leading by such a big margin. Should probably start doing the calculations on just how soon they can actually do this now and how soon they can actually win it. Well, maybe this week, actually. It's a very difficult calculation to do, but it's not too much worth worrying about. 132 points is unlikely to be caught by Night Racing Blue, who are in second place at the moment. So there you go. Both championships, Chris, are looking like runaway leaders at the moment. Even Dickinson, who's missed a race and allowed Teagish to take a victory at one stage this season, unfortunately is still for us anyway, a long way ahead of the rest at 65 points. He absolutely deserves it, but we're not going to get a championship fight particularly to the final race, I wouldn't imagine.
No, it looks like SimCity's got it pretty much locked up. Dickinson as well. We've only got a few races left to go in the season. I think SimCity's. I think you're right. I think they're going to lock up that team championship here tonight. I'm looking forward to this race here at Brands Hatch. This is a track that I spent a lot of time on some of the old Sims racing, so I'm really, really anxious to see how these guys negotiate around here in these GT3 cars here tonight.
I must say, by the way, that so far you can see on the circuit looking very, very quiet. The timing at the moment is not quite showing me everybody who is out on the circuit, but as you can see here from following Biker Pilot, not many drivers around at the moment, and that is going to be a bit of a relief. I think some of the drivers are listening or have been listening. I'm not sure how much credit I can take for this, but mentioned last week that everybody seemed to go out all at once in the first 10 minutes of the session, leaving us with nothing to watch in the second half, first of all, but more importantly for them, no free track space for them to actually use in the second part of the session. Well, it looks like some of those guys have started to listen to that. Prince Adam is back out onto the circuit at the moment. He's just starting an outlap by the looks of that. Beaver, Notovin, Cat Daddy, Dickinson, all not having set times either yet. And yeah, that is good news, it looks like, because they're just waiting for the end of the session before heading out. I think a much better idea, personally, than all heading out there and getting in each other's way. And it's only taken us to round 7 for these guys to heed that advice now, and they're spacing themselves out a lot more, and it's immediately noticeable with the lack of traffic out there on the circuit.
Yeah, we noticed that last week, as you were saying, everybody jumped out there really quick, and then we kind of sat here for about 10 to 12 minutes with nobody on the racetrack. It does look like a few of the drivers are kind of heating that right now. Are going to come out late when the track has got some clean air, nobody in the way right now. Captain CK right now in P1 here in qualifying. They both, and Squilliam, Captain CK and Squilliam both have looked really good in practice this week. I expect both of them to stay close to the top, but like you said, Dickinson yet to make any laps. Joshua Spears now goes out there, puts a lap in, puts himself 4th. So we'll see what his teammate Dickinson can do once he gets on the racetrack.
Eatmadust is just clarifying a couple of things about qualifying, which is why the field is a bit more spaced out. Says that the cars have been split into groups to run in, and therefore there's 4 different groups. And yeah, that is why we're seeing sort of dividing up of the field, if you like, and such a quiet circuit. Seems that race control maybe have had to take things into their own hands to get these guys to space things out a little bit more over the course of today.
And here we
went. But yeah, they spaced everyone out effectively into different groups.
Yeah, and here we are just giving the drivers all the credit for doing it themselves. But like I said, race control taking over, spreading out the field a little bit. So we've got about a little over 8 minutes left here in qualifying. Still a few drivers left to make it out there. Cat Daddy and Dickinson still have not put a lap out there. Still Captain CK, Simple Steve now Simply Steve. We got that in chat this week. We got a little heat for calling him Simple Steve, or at least from me anyway, not calling him Simply. So I'm just going to call him Steve from now on, then it doesn't matter. So Steve has now made his way up into P2. Actually now going to take P1 away from Captain CK right there on that lap. So Steve up in P1 right now.
I see. So, sorry, I'm effectively having a conversation with Eatmadust, who is talking to me through a YouTube chat, which is not the greatest way to communicate humankind has ever thought of, but it's working for us at the moment. Says that race control doesn't know how to... It apparently says setting in iRacing that race control haven't turned off as Simply Steve heads into the barriers there, coming out of what I'm going to call turn 3. It's not entirely correct, but whatever. Bottom bend, that is, the left-hander. Yeah, apparently they would turn it off if they could. So race control didn't want to set everybody into groups like this, but they have done. I did not know this was even a setting on iRacing you could set, I must admit. But there you go. It's apparently it's a thing. I've never seen it used before. I didn't, as I say, did not know it was even possible. And there you go. That's why everybody's running out there on their own. Sean Dickinson is going to be pretty much last of them. Apparently, according to my timing, he's not done nearly 4 laps at the moment without setting a time. I'm not sure I necessarily believe that, or whether the timing is slightly off at the moment. But 13 minutes gone, and finally sets a time now, although it's nowhere near what you'd expect from him. He's going to have to up the pace from there. I'm sure he will do with these couple of laps he's got left to go.
It looks like he's just out there just came out on an out lap trying to warm the tires up just a little bit. He's got plenty of time left. Would they have 6 laps? I think what they have to put a time down. So he's still, you can see him here still kind of wiggling around, warming the tires up. So I think once he comes around off the last corner, we'll see him on a push lap here to see if he can get up towards the front. Expect Dickinson. He was pretty quick in practice too this week. Expect him to be at least in the top 2, top 3, if not on the top.
Well, let's see how he goes in this next lap. You'd expect the tyres to be warm by now, to be honest. The couple of laps should be enough in a GT3 these days in the new tyre model. He now works his way up to the fast right-hander at the top of the hill. Into now the left. This is Sterling's turn. Now under the bridge and through clearways. The final turn of this circuit. So easily to go wide here and get pulled off to the side of the circuit, but thankfully not on this occasion. Surely this is going to be the time from Dickinson that he's going to be looking for to get past Steve, who currently tops the session. 3rd place for Dickinson. He should have another lap to go, though, and that will be the time he needs to take this pole position away. He's currently about 3/10 back.
Definitely, Steve laid down a heck of a lap right there, and Dickinson not able to get it there on his first push lap, so let's see what he can do here. I think he's the only driver left to run any laps, so we're going to keep an eye on Dickinson, using up all the racetrack he can there, trying to get off the corners there, open that wheel up, not scrub off any speed, going out there on the curbs. And you can see him right here, just nice and smooth. I really love the elevation changes here on Brass Hatch. It's one of my favorite things, just a lot of ups and downs. Going to some of these corners a little bit blind, so we get 27 cars going here when this race starts. It could be pretty interesting. So here's Dickinson right now. I'm trying to memorize these corners. I'm going through the Westfield right now. There, I got one of them. So
very difficult.
Yeah, everything's got a name on Brands Hatch, and I've been trying to study it all day long, and I just still don't have it down. So
yeah, it's very difficult. I don't know them all off by heart either, but I've got the map next to me, so it shouldn't go wrong. As Dickinson comes up towards the final corner now. Is this time going to be good enough? Haven't got the previous times to compare to through the sectors, but these are personal best 1st and 2nd sectors at the very least. What about later in the lap and at the end of the lap? Is it enough for Dickinson? It is. As you'd expect, he's the fastest man in this field, and he's once again on pole. A 1:21.9, and that is over half a second clear. Worry not, he has got the speed, and it just took him a little while to prove it. On his final lap of that session, he goes into the 21s, the only driver to do so, and he will take pole here from Brands Hatch, surely now.
Pat Daddy now out there on a lap, moves up into 4th right now with a 1:22. Excuse me, yes, up into 4th spot, puts himself in between Captain CK and Squilliam. Looks like he's got another push lap going here. See if he can improve on his time. Looking really good in that Porsche tonight. You know, I'm really surprised Joshua Spears, so Dickinson on the pole, a half a second clear of the field, with Spears down there in 6th, his teammate. So expected him to be a little bit closer. We'll see if Spears can make up that ground once we go green.
Well, that's one of the bigger gaps we've seen between them this season, that is for sure. It's Cat Daddy now, our final driver, I think, to set a time anyway. He's the only driver out there at the moment, from what I can see. And that means he's going to have to improve to probably 2nd place will be his aim here. Realistic aim anyway, with Dickinson currently so far in front of the rest of the field. Cat Daddy at the moment 8/10 behind nearly. That driver currently on the pole through the final corner now for Cat Daddy. Where is this time going to end him up now? Doesn't keep to the right-hand side quite as tightly as you might hope for from a driver aiming for pole. He does improve, but he doesn't gain any places, and he stays 4th for the moment.
Good run there for Cat Daddy. Been kind of starting in the middle of the field here, off and on. So good start, going to be up here in 4th here at Brands Hatch, and looks like the Porsche is really comfortable here. We're kind of mixed up in the front with a Mustang and a Lamborghini. What do we got here? A Mustang, oh, excuse me. What do we got here? Mustang, a McLaren, an Acura, and a Porsche. So 4 different, and the Lamborghini. So top 5 cars, all different. Top 5 in qualifying here, all different car makers.
Yeah, and 6 in the top 7, not in first Corvette, just behind the 2nd Mustang of Joshua Spears. First Audi is down in 12th for Corndog. And that's it as far as manufacturers go. Further down, a lot of Porsches towards the back end of the field. 27 drivers in this field again here tonight. Such a great participation, greatly participated series this year, the J2ICS GT3 Championship. We've had 39 drivers score points, with another 3 drivers not having been here yet this season, although they are entered. It's been a great entry. Before we get into the race, we'll just do a little bit more housekeeping before we get underway. Of course, thanking once again our title sponsors this season, Parabolic Companies. At Parabolic Companies, We don't just invest in real estate, we build momentum. From revitalizing neighborhoods to powering progress through innovative development, our mission is to create lasting impact in every community we touch. Whether it's laying foundations or backing fierce competition on the virtual track, Parabolic brings precision, passion and performance. Parabolic Companies, grounded in growth, driven to win, and a big title sponsor for us this season, the J2ICS GT3 Sprint Championship as well. They are, of course, greatly appreciated as always as we get to the very end of this session. A good evening to everyone tuning in towards the end of this session. Penny Dickinson, congratulations, Sean, on pole. Again, she says. Again on pole. What's that? Number 7 now, isn't it? All of them complete. 7 out of 7 so far for the for Sean Dickinson, the championship leader. Also Eric Fox, who has... comes to join us as well. Good evening to everybody as this qualifying session just draws to a close. The drivers in groups and not out there together, and they were a bit more spaced out than what they were last week and indeed in the 6 weeks previous in our championship. But finally now they are they're a bit more spaced out in this session. They'll all be able to get back out there again together now, though, as the warm-up session begins. And this is where I absolutely do see the point in them going out there all together, as you can just see the session results there. Sean Dickinson over half a second faster than Simply Steve, and that's been the story of the season, really. Another dominant pole position display there from Dickinson, who will lead them off in a moment on pole position. Well, as you can see, the next second covers second to 12th, so 11 drivers in those qualifying results. A bit further down, the gaps start to get a bit bigger. Gorndog and Zach are quite far apart in 12th and 13th, and outside the top 15 as well. You start to get to over 2 seconds off of pole. Marido, the first of those, although yeah, it stays pretty close in that midfield, much like what we saw last week, actually. Rudskogen, where the midfield was very close, but they didn't stay too close during the race. I think the early thing here is going to be, like it was at Rudskogen, or turned out to be, how close is that midfield going to stay, but more importantly, maybe who is going to be working their way through that midfield on the racetrack here early on in this race, because some of those drivers will have certainly qualified worse than they're going to end up racing here.
Yeah, 27 drivers checked in, only 24 put down qualifying times, but last week had that same thing at Rudskogen. They were all really close midfield in qualifying times, but then they really got spread out throughout the field. The racing was nowhere near as tight as we thought it would be. I expect that to be a little different here at Brands Hatch, a little more technical, a little tighter, not too many long straightaways to really get gaps on anybody. So I think we're going to see close racing all night long here. And and with Dickinson being a half second clear of the field there in qualifying, he may run into traffic pretty early in this. We got an hour longer racing, and I would not be surprised to see him into traffic within the first 5 minutes.
Could be quite early on in the day. It's not the longest circuit in the world, although it's a damn sight longer than the short layout of this corner of this circuit, of course. Through Surtees Bend, you turn a sharper left than what you do on the Indy layout. You can see it there on the track map. That sort of right-hand side of the screen, the track map there is the Indy layout, the small layout, and then the Grand Prix circuit, which heads out into the forest. Used to host Formula One racing, this venue, a long time ago, back as far as the 60s. So I'm not sure when the last one was. 80s, 90s maybe?
Would have been interesting to see F1 here, definitely long before I was an F1 fan, so I'm going to look that up now.
Same, long time before I was alive, I would imagine. When were they last? I'm just looking it up now as well.
1986 is what I'm being told by our AI friends.
Oh God, that's well on this rare occasion. The AI is right. Whenever I type anything in there, it just tells me some rubbish that's just not true. Got it to work. You are right. It's 86. It was ultimate sense, but anyway, That's Formula One for you. 1986, there you go. Approaching 40 years, but, you know, it's probably a relief that, that those kind of events don't happen around here anymore. GT3 cars are pretty much as fast as you'd want to go around this circuit, that's for sure.
I watched a few touring car races. Oh, and there we go. We got that Beaver spinning out there into the sand on the warm-up lap, so hopefully not too much damage there. Gonna come out of the pits. See if we can find somebody else around the track. So yeah, I've watched a lot of touring car races around here at Brands Hatch, and they are a lot of fun to watch. So I can only imagine with GT3 just a little bit more speed here. Just looking forward to an exciting event. I've been looking forward to this race all week long.
Yeah, the British Touring Car Championship makes a couple of appearances here to go one to each layout. The finale in October time takes place on the Grand Prix layout. Takes place almost in the darkness, to be honest, the final race of the season in the British Touring Car Championship. It's just before the clocks go back and the eternal darkness begins, which is what it is. But yeah, but even by 6 p.m. on that day in early October, it's getting dark. And normally there's a great championship finale in the British Touring Car Championship, because yeah, it is a great venue for racing and a great venue for that title fight as well. But no such darkness here today. We are still racing in the summer after all. Still in the UK at the moment, likely to get decent light until 8:30, 9 o'clock in the evening. And so it shouldn't be any sort of problem for us here tonight, as the drivers now will get themselves ready for the race. Let's have a look at the starting grid, shall we, at the beginning of this race, the hour-long race, of course, in these GT3s, as always. Sean Dickinson has taken the pole ahead of Simply Steve on the front row. Big gap there, of course. And then smaller ones back down to the rest of the screen, really. Captain CK and Cat Daddy there on row 2. Squilliam and Joshua Spears. Notovin and Tigis then on row 4 of Jen and Not Supra. Then outside the top 10 is Long Island Nerd and Corn Dog, who will share row 6. Bit of a gap from Corn Dog back to Zach, who's 13th ahead of Sector. It's Bob Nova and Yomega then on row 13 ahead of Querido and Sassy. Pancakes and Beaver round out the top 20. Beaver quite a long way down compared to where you expect to see. Prince Adam as well, 21st. Biker Pilot 22nd ahead of Urko and Lamp. Be a new driver rounding out the top 12 there. Then it's top 12 rows, that is. Golic Dog and Pebble then on the 13th row, with Huzia Dallas rounding out the field. 27 drivers in the field. Huzia Dallas not with the representative time, though, I would say. That says 9.2 seconds off of pole. I'd have a hard time believing he's that far off the pace at this circuit, even though it is difficult. I'd imagine that is just down to having an off. Two big things there you can see on your screen, really, that are going to define this race, I think. Some damp patches on the outsides of the circuit, and especially on the curves, although shouldn't play much of a role. What will play much more of a role is gravel being brought onto the circuit, because, of course, this is an old-school track where gravel lines the track, and it's very easy to bring that back onto the circuit, as we know in iRacing. That really has an effect these days on the cars. Yeah,
all that gravel coming out, you know, if you get it in the wrong place, right on the entry into a corner, that's going to make that car get really loose getting in. It's going to be hard to get into the corner, and if the driver doesn't see that, doesn't expect it, you know, you're going to get in there and hit your normal braking spot, and you're just going to push right through the corner after you hit that gravel. So hopefully we don't see too much of that today, but if we do, hopefully you guys can anticipate it.
It's down here, which could be a problem. We already see it through turn number 1 and 2. It's down here as well. You can see the gravel on the outside of the circuit. Been brought back onto the racing line yet by anybody in practice or qualifying? Doesn't quite look like it, no. And again, it would be the same through the next two right-handers at Westfield Bend and Dingledale at the very, very top of the hill, which is very, very committed corner indeed. But again, same story as we see so many weeks in a row now. Getting ahead of Dickinson and getting in his way early on is going to be the first objective for Steve. Otherwise, Dickinson is going to run away with this race lead.
Yeah, it's going to be the key right there. If Simply Steve can just get in front of Dickinson, getting down into the first corner, kind of, you know, just maybe even just kind of getting his way a little bit. I mean, a half a second there in qualifying, I think just beating him down to the first corner is going to be an achievement. So we'll see what Steve can do here. Absolutely. He's got to get in amongst it at the front of the field. Let's see if he can.
given that the first 2 turns, of course, go to the right, and that's where he will be on the outside. As we bring us to the green flag at Brands Hatch, Dickinson not waiting around. He wants to get this race underway, and rightly so as well, because that's allowed him to get the jump on the field. In towards turn 1 again. Into the gravel they go as well. Just a little bit of that brought on from practice and qualifying. As they come up into turn 2, Joshua Spears, the one making the moves. He's up to 4th place already.
Yeah, Spears started back in 6th, makes up 2 spots already just through the first couple of corners, trying to get up there to his teammate Dickinson, see if he can give him a battle. But he's right now stuck behind his captain CK. You can take a look at Squilliam, looking to the inside right there, and Spears going to make a good run through the corner right here. And Squilliam's going to move back up into that 4th spot, puts Spears back 1 more back to 5th.
And that was a very nice move from Squilliam down the inside at turn 4 there, and coming through into 4th place as well. Further back, side by side there, Pancakes and Sassy, with also Prince Adam and Beaver going side by side. I said that those two would move through the field. They're not going to do it side by side between themselves. Through the right-hander they go, and they all try and filter through. Urko tries to get past Prince Adam as well now on the inside of Westfield. And he is just about going to, well, he's still there alongside. He can't really go any further forward because the Acura is sort of still in the way here. Through Dingledale they go. Look at this, 2 by 2 by 2. It's like they're still on the formation lap, but this is full speed on lap 1, and there's a spin. A spin for Pancakes, a stack up behind, and Satsy also getting a bit of front end damage. There's some gravel for everybody to enjoy. Pancakes the first to spin through that left-hander. Coming on to Sterling's Bend.
Take a look what happened
behind.
here.
We did see Jen spin on lap 1 as well, by the way.
Don't know why it didn't go back far enough for me, but it looks like just lost it on his own, unless there was a little net code issue there. But Pancakes around there on the only the second lap of the race. We'll jump back here up to the front.
It looked like it was on his own, to be honest, through Sterling's. And we'll now have to shake that gravel off his tyres across the next few corners. Dickinson leads by just over a second, and Simply Steve gives chase. But again, this is why I said that he needs to get ahead early, because otherwise Dickinson is just going to control this race. I wouldn't like to know how many minutes of the season that Dickinson has been leading now, but this is coming up to the end of 7 hours of racing now at the end of this race. How many times have we seen Dickinson out there on his own out front by such a long way? It's just been a really long time for him out front, and for most of that time unchallenged as well, really, compared to the others. Interlagos, we had a little bit of challenge, but or was it? Sorry, not Interlagos. Rutskogen, sorry. Last week, a little bit of challenge from Squilliam, but you know, here again, Squilliam a long way back, and Dickinson's a long way ahead here and already looking comfortable.
Yeah, one thing I like about iRacing is all the stats they keep, but I don't know if they keep that stat. I haven't seen that anywhere, minutes led, because definitely, I mean, out of 7 hours of racing, I would not be surprised if Dickinson has led at least 4.5 to 5 hours of that. But good action going on through the middle of the pack.
Sorry, as you say that, Dickinson's lost the lead to Steve. So where has he gone off here? Well, maybe that is the curse, because we have absolutely just been bigging him up, and he's just gone off the road at turn 3. He's on the white line, he's on the AstroTurf, he's gone a bit wide through the grass. Oh, and he steps on the power too early, trying to get back on as well. And Steve is now in front. So, well, this throws a spanner in the works just a little bit, and it makes this race just a little bit more interesting now. As I said earlier, Steve is in front of Dickinson, his rhythm is broken, and now this race gets very interesting.
Yeah, it looks like Dickinson just missed his braking point getting in the corner there. Got a little oversteer, had to chase the car off the racetrack, off into the grass, and Simply Steve's going to take advantage of that, move out in front. Let's see what Dickinson can do here. He hasn't had to pass a lot of cars for position this season. We've seen him pass a lot of lap cars, so let's see if he can put the pressure on Steve, as we are only 4 minutes into this hour-long race, so a long, long way left to go for Dickinson, but Steve now with the lead. Captain CK also right there behind him there in third.
If you remember back to last week, you said that the Lamborghini would be very strong around here at Brands Hatch. Wonder whether Squilliam is starting to show some of that now, because he just set the fastest lap of the race last time around, and he's homing into view in the background there in 4th place as well. But again, track position, his undoing, just as it was last week at Rutskogen, which is probably the most similar circuit to this one that we had remaining in the second half of the season. Sebring, Belle Isle and Bathurst are different in so many ways compared to the first 2 European rounds that we have in this second half of the season. Of course, the third and fourth European races of the campaign. Now, second European leg we have at this time in the second half as we go on board with Dickinson here. He's clearly quicker, but again, it's finding your way past, and that is never quite as easy.
No, tough track to pass on. Looks like you've had a couple other offs here. Garlic Dog crashed. Hoosier Dallas was just off the racetrack. We're going to take a look back here at Garlic Dog real quick. So hopefully we don't miss any action up front. And again, just lost it and then collected it. I'm not sure who that is there. It looks like his teammate.
Yeah, it does. Doesn't it?
Knocked the bumpers.
Oh no, that's a bad sight, isn't it?
Well, now they match. They're both missing the front bumpers now, so they match up.
Well, probably teammates with their cars matching up like that, but it's not good news, I'm afraid. Squilliam sets the fastest lap for the second lap in a row. He's not really getting much closer to these two, who are battling really close at the moment. Not sure quite why he's not gaining very much, actually, is Squilliam. Maybe because it would have gone to Dickinson last time round if he hadn't gone off track. Maybe that is one of the reasons why he's not catching so much. Of course, to set the purple lap itself, you've got to... you can't have any off tracks, otherwise it won't count as they come down the straight and now into the right-hander. And maybe a phenomenon we haven't talked of so far it will start to come true as well. Difficulty in overtaking at Brands Hatch. It's often very difficult. So wonder whether Dickinson's going to experience that as well for the next few minutes.
Yeah, Brands Hatch are really narrow. Not a lot of places to get up underneath somebody. I think the best opportunity is if he can find some top speed down that front straightaway into turn number 1, is it might be a good chance for Dickinson. But I think most of the time you can see right here what he's doing. He's right on the back bumper, Simply Steve right here, and just trying to fill that mirror up. Maybe force Simply Steve into a mistake, because that's usually what has to happen here. You got to wait for that guy in front of you to make a mistake before you can find a way to get around.
Yeah, exactly, and that makes it so much more difficult as Steve responds with the best lap of his own. And again, Squilliam's going to have something similar here. Rich Cogan last week, to be fair, surprised me positively with the amount of overtakes that we saw and how possible it was. So maybe this week is going to surprise me positively as well. But let's wait and see. As back in the pack, this is not a Supra, just in ninth ahead of Zach, who rounds out the top 10. And then the only Audi in the field, Corn Dog, running in 11th ahead of Bob Nova and Long Island Nerd. You can see all these guys in this group. And again, maybe underlining the difficulties around this circuit, even a group like this, not seeing too much side-by-side yet either.
No, we're not. And we're getting a little bit more spread out than we thought we might be. We're back about, top 4 here. From 4th on to 5th is about 6 seconds. So the top 4 kind of separating themselves out in front of the pack, but the rest of the group pretty tight right now. All the way back to about the top 10, all within about 12 seconds on the track. And here's Dickinson right now, right up on the back of Simply Steve.
And Steve, I thought he was going to go down the inside at Clearways there. The final corner was Dickinson, and I would have said he had to defend the inside line there, Steve, but he was right not to. As they come over the line now, Dickinson's super close again. Not sure whether he's going to get the fastest lap because he's so close behind Steve, and they're starting to slow each other down now, but they are going quickly. And Dickinson again on a better line through turn 1. He's going to force Steve to look in his mirrors again, and if he'd properly lunged for it there, if there was 8 minutes to go rather than just 8 minutes into the race, then he might have gone for something like that, but for now he's waiting.
Yeah, they made their way down in turn number 1 right there, and you saw Dickinson kind of fade to the outside. I thought he was going to set up Steve there for an over-under, but Steve did a good job of keeping the car down on the bottom, not drifting up too high, close that bottom off where Dickinson really couldn't take advantage of that. So right now, Steve doing a really good job of holding on to this lead, not making any mistakes, maybe he's turned his mirror off, and maybe he doesn't even see where Dickinson's at, not letting it bother him at all.
Well, that would help. If in one sense, keep your eyes forward, but you dive down your inside, suddenly you're in trouble because you won't be able to see what you're doing. But yeah, Steve has got to keep his eyes forward at the moment and focus, because he knows that the Mustang is quicker, but you can beat quicker drivers at this circuit especially. So you've got to try. Oh, Squilliam is off through the left-hander at Sterling's. Oh, and he's backed it into the wall as well. The rear wings off that Lamborghini. Looks more like a road car now than the race-modified Huracan. And that is the story of Squilliam's season in some sense. at Rutschkogen and now Brands Hatch as well. 2 circuits where that Lamborghini should thrive. He's had incidents. It's a clipping of the grass into the penultimate corner this time. And he could have stopped himself from rolling lazily into the wall as well. It's very light contact, but it takes the rear wing off.
Yeah, just caught that grass getting into the corner right there, just a little bit too high on entry. Got that right rear tire off on the grass, and that was just enough to cause the car to go around. But, you know, like you said, kind of lazily, just kind of let the car roll back into the wall. Probably could have got it stopped there without much damage, but unfortunately knocked the wing off of it. And Ewan was looking for a second really strong run this week, and once again, just like you said, bad luck comes his way.
He's really loose now without that rear wing. He's starting to struggle with Bob Nova on his outside. He's defending the place, though. He wants to keep these positions, although it's really out of shape, that Lamborghini at the moment. And here goes Bob Nova to the inside. Oh, no! Squilliam turns straight into the side of him, and he goes off again here into the gravel. Flashes the lights. Not happy with Bob Nova, but I think the Porsche had a complete right to come down the inside there and try and clear that Lamborghini because it is so out of control.
Yeah, I think maybe he might have been flashing lights or saying he's sorry, because Bob Nova was up alongside of him, and he just kind of turned down into the corner. You know, maybe, you know, a little bit without that rear wing, the car's going to handle a little bit different. Maybe he just didn't anticipate how the car was going to turn in, but unfortunately, some unforced mistakes there from Squilliam, putting him way back into 13th now.
Well, he's just holding out until the pit stop window, which, by the way, here tonight shouldn't come until we sort of reach the 20 to 25 minute-ish mark, as it often does in these 1 hour races. But that's a long time to hold on now for Squilliam, especially given the way that car was behaving, and he's off again here. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's in some point, as there's another look there from Dickinson. There goes Squilliam. He tows back to pit lane. That's the end of him. A real shame, really, and it leaves these two effectively to be the big drivers to fight over the win.
Yeah, Dickinson just running right here behind Steve. He's had a couple opportunities to take a look to the inside and maybe lunge. I think he's just kind of, you know, is he toying with Steve here just a little bit? I'm not quite sure, but definitely has the pace if he can just find the right opportunity to get past. Maybe right here down getting into one. He's got a good run here down the front straightaway, but just going to settle back in right there, just running second. So Simply Steve now still holding on to the lead.
I just get the feeling that Dickinson is biding his time so much at the moment, and he's not actually even trying to make the pass. I've got to be honest. Steve is maybe living on borrowed time at the front of this field, and maybe it wouldn't be the worst idea to try and slow Dickinson down into Captain CK, but that would have been more of a strategy maybe to use earlier on in the day when CK was a lot closer than what he is now. It's a lot more difficult to do that now, because if you try and do that too much, then Dickinson is just going to go past you, because I think he can at the moment. This is the battle for 4th place between Cat Daddy, Lotte Ventigis, and Joshua Spears, who's suddenly dropped to the back of this group.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened to Joshua Spears. He actually had charged up to 4th early until Squilliam got by him for that 4th position, dropped him back to 5th, but he's now lost another spot, or actually a couple more spots back to 7th. So started in 6th, now back off the track right there. You can see a little bit of moisture kick up too, so that you get off into this grass right now. It might still be a little bit wet from that earlier rain in practice.
Yeah, it's in that curve as well. Not even actually off the circuit, just in that curve that you'd normally use actually at Hawthorns. You don't want to run on it now because the moisture is still there. It's not regularly enough hit by these drivers to actually clear the water, even though it's been dry tyre weather for ages, as there's somebody off through turn 1. Oh, and here he goes down the inside. Dickinson, still gravel on the tyres slightly as he comes down the inside at turn 2. Steve gives him just about a Mustang's width and goes straight round the outside of him.
Yeah, Dickinson had an opportunity right there. Steve's just going to fight back, so just a great battle here for the lead. You know, we've seen so many races this season with Dickinson just kind of running off, so it's really, really great to have a battle for the lead right here, even though it was caused by Dickinson's mistake early. But Steve really capitalized on here and leading as many laps as he can. But here's Dickinson alongside, heading down into the corner. He's got the outside going into this next corner to see if Steve can fight back on the bottom. It looks like Dickinson's going to make a good run and going to get back to the point.
Wow, that is just sublime, isn't it? The way he makes it look so easy. That is a difficult move round the outside of that right-hander there. but he's just made it look so easy, as if he takes that line every lap. Steve can't do anything about that. The Mustang's so powerful in a straight line, so strong in the high-speed turns as well. The only thing that might unstuck him now is a Porsche with damage here into the final turn, but Dickinson even gets more clearly through that than Steve does. He is the fastest driver in this race, and with 15 minutes to go, or 15 minutes gone rather, he retakes the lead again.
Yeah, unfortunately, a little bad timing there for Steve. He was close, only about a car length back from Dickinson, but they caught that lap car at the wrong place. Dickinson caught him perfectly right before the entry to the corner, was able to clear, but as Steve got up alongside the lap car, he had to tuck the car down on the bottom and pinch it down, and lost a little momentum off, and cost him a couple of car lengths here, but still fighting back. Still hanging on about 4 or 5 car lengths back, about a little bit less than a second. So we'll see if he can hang on right here and maybe capitalize on another mistake.
Catley has gone off the circuit and has exited that battle for fourth, which is more strong at one stage. He was leading it as well. Spins coming out of turn 3, and he just about avoids the wall. It's not the first Porsche we've seen go around there. Saying it's a manufacturer thing rather than a driver thing, because we also saw Dickinson off the road at that corner. But yeah, that was a notable spin. There's oh dear, that was earlier today, a lap or so ago. Everybody just following each other, going a little bit wider each time as they pass Parabolic Dog there. It's the other driver there, by the way. It must be Pebble, wasn't it? And the other Porsche.
I believe you're correct.
Those two teammates who are missing a front end together.
Yeah, top 3 right now. We take a look at Captain CK here, back in third. These top 3 have really separated him away from the field. Is all the way 13 seconds back to fourth right now to Nodovan. So right now it looks like it's going to come down to either Dickinson, Simply Steve, or Captain CK holding on to the top 3. But we are getting a little separated out like we saw last week as well.
Yeah, the midfield is a bit closer. And here is Supra and Corn Dog, and behind. That is Long Island Nerd down the inside of Bob Nova into turn 2. Both late on the brakes, and there's a very narrow racing line now with a lot of dirt and marbles on the outside of that corner now. And the Mustang set through on the inside, so Long Island Nerd into the top 10.
Yeah, Long Island Nerd has showed some pace. He's had some pace the last couple of weeks. He showed up about 3 weeks ago. Had a little trouble last week. He looked like he was going to run pretty well last week, but ended up way back in the field, but looking good right now. Started in 11th, still moved up 1 spot up into 10th around Bob Nova. And let's see if he can catch up to Zach here. You know, last week, Ruskogan, Zach was, we talked a lot about Zach. He was in a lot of the battles, so let's see if he can keep on him here today. We focused a lot on the midfield all throughout the last few weeks, and it looks like that's where our action's going to come again.
Yeah, I mean, it's the case in quite a lot of races, really. What happens, and that's exactly what happens. As the midfield gets closer, the front guys get more spread apart. And this is going to remain the case here as we approach 1/3 distance here from Brands Hatch. The pit stops won't be that far away, but anyone who's stopped before this point is probably having an unscheduled one as we ride on board with Corn Dog here. Oh, just misses the apex there at turn 1 as he tries to chase down Not a Supra. It has been proven by some of the drivers that overtaking is possible again here at Brands Hatch, although very difficult. It is possible, and that will give life to Corn Dog in this battle for 7th.
Yeah, we've seen enough drivers, you know, off the track make a little bit of mistakes, and that's opened up some opportunities for some of these guys to move forward, but it's still just a tough place to pass on. As you can see, it looks like Corn Dog might be a little bit faster than Super right here, but just not able to find a way around.
Bit of defence on the way towards Hawthorns. And a lapped car as well. That's Garlic Dog, who's sort of sitting in the middle of the road and needs to pick up the pace a little bit or get out the way through into Dingledale. This is blind, of course, blind corner, flash of the lights as well from Corn Dog to put the pressure on the McLaren in front. And Garlic Dog does pick up the speed a little bit, but I'm sure that Not Super would have preferred he got out the way entirely. Don't forget, though, sports car racing rules. You're not obliged to get out the way. And now he tries to. They were nearly 3 wide there for a moment as Corn Dog tries to get alongside. These are the moments he can capitalise on. If you're the driver behind, and he is trying to in the Audi at the moment, he pulls onto the outside in time for the front straight, which is, of course, slightly bending to the right, which allows you a long, long way around there for Corn Dog. And It's too long of a way round. He can't get past. What about into turn 2? Switches to the inside again. Not a way through this time. That was as close as he's come since we've been following this battle.
Yeah, good opportunities there. They were trying to get around that lap car, but just not able to make it past. I really thought Corndog was going to get by him there. Going to take another look to the inside. He's got to run down here into the corner. Nice move right there. Corndog's going to get around Super there, but Super's going to fight back. They're side by side, a little bit of contact right there as they're behind another lap car. I think Corndog's kind of pinched behind that lap car with Super with some clean air over there. 3 wide here down the straightaway. Nice move right there from Corndog. He's going to take over that spot away from Super now. Going to move up into 7th.
That was very well done by everybody, and the Porsche in the background as well. Going to get more flashing of the lights now as Pebble has got 4 coming down the inside. Are they all going to make it? Looks like it. I think Beaver lost a bit of time, but they all make it through the turns anyway. It's getting lively in the midfield. Zach is at the front of this group here for 9th, and they were catching the battle for 7th, actually, until Corndog got through. Looks like he's got the power now to drive away with 7th place.
Yeah, definitely. We were anticipating that Corndog was a little bit faster than Super, just trying to find a way around. And you can see now, once he's cleared Super there, he's up into that 7th spot, putting some distance now, about 8 to 10 car lengths away. Now he's got about 4 seconds up to Joshua Spears in that 6th position. That's a lot of ground to make up, especially on a driver like Joshua Spears. So we'll see what Corndog can do from here on out.
That's, I'd imagine, the answer to that is running away with 7th place, but let's wait and see. Beaver, another strong performance from him in the race. I said it when I was going through the grid. 20th place is much further down the way you'd expect to see him, and same for Prince Adam, actually. He's also made up 8 places, but Beaver's in this group, and you'd imagine he'd be able to pick these 3 off in one go, I would say, in the next couple of moments. This is looking like perhaps a real nice run through the field from Nick Beaver here. As we ride on board with him, he'll have these 3 in his sights, although, of course, stops will be coming up in a moment. A few more overtakes, I think, before those stops will be nice as well.
Yeah, like you said, really surprised Beaver with that far back in the qualifying on the grid, way back in 20th. Doing a good job fighting his way up through the pack here. So as we talked to how hard it is to pass there, and as we look up Long Island Nova, going to look to the inside of Zach, up along the outside of him. Zach able to fight back off the last corner as they come off the final corner down the front straightaway side by side. It is Long Island Nova and Zach, and Long Island Nova looks like he's going to have the pace. Can he get down into one on the outside and cut it off? No. Zach's going to come back on the bottom and keep holding that spot. Long Island Nerd's going to have to fight back for one more day.
And they'll have to defend, actually. Oh, once you see one go through or one failed attempt, you can see the group starting to get a bit restless. Bob Nova had a little look there on Beaver. Well, as did Beaver, I should say, who is very close in behind. Got the headlights on, and he's got the ambition at the moment. That's a bit wide from Long Island Nerd. He's just pulling it back for a late apex, and what a run that could be on Zach, who's up in 9th place at the moment, surely on the defensive here. We've seen McLaren versus Mustang in the past in this race, and Mustang often wins. The power outdoing the slipstream, or sorry, the sleekness, I should say, of the McLaren. And Long Island Nerd can't go through. Bit of moisture picked up again. Bob Nova couldn't capitalise, though, and go through on that occasion.
A little bit of contact there from Long Island Nerd. Got into the back bumper there. Zach just a little bit, but not enough to hurt anything. And you can see Beaver back there. So those two battling up in front of Bob Nova and Beaver's allowed them to catch up. You can start racing side by side with somebody, but kind of slow you down a little bit. And Bob Nova and Beaver, you see Beaver all over the back of Bob Nova, looking for a way around, looking to the outside now. Just not enough of a run. So just a great battle here for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Or excuse me, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Oh, and look at that. Another look down the inside from Long Island Nerd. Still he can't go through, and there goes Beaver. Down the inside and through on Bob Nova. That's 9 places gained now from him. Don't forget, he got all the way up to 3rd last week. Not sure that's going to happen this week, but we know that he's qualified in his last couple of weeks, especially further down than where he's normally racing. He'll be in the top 10 before long, because Zach and Long Island Nerd are fighting hard amongst themselves.
Yeah, I see Beaver's going to be right up here fighting with these two here in just any moment. Once Long Island Nerd gets up alongside, you can see maybe a little frustration there from Long Island, flashing the lights at Zach. Maybe saying, hey, buddy, I'm a little faster. Give me some room. And he's going to look to the outside here one more time, but just not enough pace. Zach just doing a great. We saw Zach defend most of that race last week, and he's once again putting up a great defense here on Long Island Nerd.
Yeah, great stuff at the moment. Look at that, so close through Westfield there. And up in towards Dingledale now. One you've absolutely got to practice for. And then Sterling's ultimate turn. A bit further down the field, that was a group of 3. I'm not sure they're all on the same lap actually, but Sector and Urco are quite close together. Although these 4 have been the entertainment of the race so far. 25 minutes gone. So far, I'm not sure we've had any scheduled stops. Just check that. No, I don't think we have. Sassy has been in last lap, and maybe that was the first of them. It was a 21-second stop, which suggests tyres went on throughout that stop as well, as Dickinson seems to have made a mistake somewhere. Simply Steve is right behind him going into this pit stop window.
I hadn't really been paying attention up there. Dickinson has started to spread out. It looked like you're right. Maybe a little bit of a mistake there. I don't see anything on the event log where it says where he went off anywhere. But Steve able to reel him back in here. We're going to have a fight for the lead here. We'll get ready for our pit stops. We're just almost halfway through here. 25 minutes into this 1-hour race. Dickinson still out in front. Simple Steve, Captain CK are top 3 right now.
Yep. Well, the Captain CK, of course, a bit far removed from these guys. Oh, and Bob Nova's off. Unfortunately, it looks like that group for 9th place has just exploded briefly. As, Beaver's coming through. Zach going backwards. Long Island Nerd gets through. And, oh, Zach putting up a great fight on the outside of Dingledale. Oh, one wheel off the circuit, bit of contact. And Beaver's going to have to fight hard around the outside of Sterling's. Oh, and he's just posed in front there to Zach. Great defensive driving to keep 10th and prevent it from being 2 positions on 1 lap there. That was a great bit of defending.
Yeah, once again, I think we're just going to have to call Zach captain defense here, putting up a good job. Long Island Nerd able to find a way, but there's going to be Beaver looking out of the inside into turn 1. I don't think Zach's going to be able to fight that off. Beaver now going to move up. Going to be up now 10 spots, up to 10th. Going to drive away from Zach right there as well. Actually, Bob Nova tries to take advantage of it, but not able to get around to Zach as well. So Zach's put up all the defense he can, but maybe he's worn those tires out just a little bit here because now Long Island Nerd and Beaver have been able to get around him and starting to drive away.
Now Dickinson's lost the lead to Steve. We're hearing that a lap or so ago he was just held up by a back marker, so that's why there wasn't an event for you to see. But it was just a big bit of time lost, but it doesn't seem like he's really recovered from that. What you said earlier on about traffic being such a big factor in this race has proved to be true, because look, Sassy has not even really been so much delayed, just having made the pit stop, and Lamp now does the same. We saw Jen in the last couple of moments do the same. A lot of these drivers are going to fall a lap down because of these stops, and Dickinson continues to lose time. This is coming a little bit concerning now for the Mustang driver. 24.1 on the last lap is very, very slow by his standards. In fact, that's the slowest lap on the last lap in the top 9.
Could he have taken a little bit of damage there somewhere? I'm not sure. But, yeah, Steve driving away here a little bit now. So about 1.5 seconds out in front. Dickinson with a little bit of struggle here. So maybe he needs to get in the pits, get some new tires. But definitely off the pace, as you said.
Massively fuel saving is the answer from Impetus, but there's not sure why yet. And again, I'm not sure why you'd even do that either, given the amount of well, it's just not necessary, really, at this series. Further back, we saw a long and relatively large incident further down the field, or Catley, I think, was involved. Was off the road for quite some time. This group is thinned out a little bit. Beaver's into 9th, although stops are starting to happen now, so the positions are starting to become a little bit wayward anyway.
Yeah, we had a really great 4-car battle here, but it's starting to separate out. But Beaver now up 11 spots in the 9th, sets his sights on Long Island Nerd up there in 8th, and as they're trying to chase down Corndog. Corndog are really only about 3 seconds out in front of these two. So we could have a 3-car battle for that 7th spot here pretty soon, but Long Island Nerd settled into 8th right now.
Well, it will not be 8th for much longer with the 3 into pit lane. Well, never mind. They're coming in themselves.
Oh Beaver
trouble!
a little hot.
Wow! Beaver there, well, that's the difference, isn't it, between a driver who's practiced pit entry quite a lot and a driver who was taking it cautiously because maybe hadn't their Long Island Nerd. That was really close.
I was trying to go back and look at that here again real quick. to see what happened, but well, I guess won't rewind far enough. So yeah, evasive maneuvers there from Beaver, got him a little bit hot. Lucky didn't run over the back of Long Island Nerd, just went down and hit that cone. So we'll have to see if they give him a speeding penalty for that. So it'll be unfortunate after he moves so far up through the field to have a penalty in the pits, but so we'll see how this shakes out once they come out.
As we go back to live pictures, Beaver is back ahead of Long Island Nerd here. Yep, he's jumped him in the pit stops. So a second shorter in the box, and he's through. Not a Supra, also behind, but of course there'll be cold tyres going on here now for Beaver. And Not a Supra has to strike now, has to get past while that Acura is on colder tyres. Having said that, Not a Supra won't be fully up to temperature yet either in that McLaren, but there'll certainly be warmer tyres, and so he's got to go through now. Inside line for turn 4, and he does go through.
Yeah, Supra split Beaver and Long Island when they came out of the pits right there. Good job getting by, and Long Island Nerd's going to take advantage of that, try to get up alongside Beaver as well. We got a side-by-side battle here. I don't even know what corner we're going into, but Long Islander doing a good job up on the outside. Beaver just doesn't have enough ammunition to fight with. Long Islander moves back up into 12th right now as we're still cycling through our pit stops. As we have, looks like Simply Steve has made his stop as well.
So many, yes, he is back in the lead again, just about. So many drivers, by the way, didn't make it to halfway. So if they were out of fuel before 30 minutes there, we've got a real different race on our hands, of maybe even a 2-stop race here tonight, which would be very, very interesting indeed. Let's wait and see whether that comes to be the case. I believe we can get 24 laps out of a tank round here, so shouldn't be an issue because we're not yet even at the end of lap 23, but so many drivers didn't even make it to 22. In fact, only 4 or 5 maybe have made it past halfway, so it's got to be tactical from everybody. Surely they're not all running out of fuel, as Long Island Nerd is really punchy off this restart of this stint. On cold tyres, the Mustang looking strong, and he's ahead of Not a Supra now, as well as Beaver.
Yeah, and good run there from Long Island, as the Supra's going to try to fight back there, but just too much power from that Mustang, and Long Island Nerd starts to pull away. The next car in front of them is going to be Biker Pilot, who's yet to pit, so yeah, Captain CK and Corndog both now pitting. They made it past halfway, so maybe that's what we were seeing earlier from Dickinson. Like was said in the chat, he was just kind of trying to save some fuel right there. I did not anticipate, that these guys wouldn't be able to make halfway, but could get interesting here towards the end of this.
Even just confirming that Steve doesn't have to stop again, but Dickinson might be a lap short. That is very interesting. Well, we know that Steve made it past halfway, so that would make sense. Same for Captain CK, Tigis, Corndog, Biker Pilot, all of them making it past halfway. The rest of them, if they were out of fuel there legitimately, might be in trouble. There's Not a Supra here, is in a trouble of a different kind. Beaver is looking to come past him in towards turn 1. Looks outside, inside, and outside again, but can't go through. And look at that in the background. Bob Nova was looking there as well. Zach is suddenly at the back of this group after leading it for so much of the first part of this race.
Yeah, Beaver trying to find a way around Supra right there. Supra did a good job of defending down on that bottom, took that inside line away from Beaver. He looked to the outside, but just didn't have the pace to make it. So Beaver now, or excuse me, not Supra, looks to be our defender. Well, you said Zach back here in the back of this pack, so Zach just kind of back here riding around, just hoping so he can find a way around Bob Nova now.
He's so close. He's got to find a way through here, Beaver. We're going to see it from this view. Zach just watching on. No, he's not close enough. McLaren and Mustang are probably the 2 fastest cars in a straight line in the GT3 category. Mustang being the fastest and McLaren being the second fastest. Well, the other manufacturers, even Acura, which is not that bad, is going to struggle there on the way down in towards Hawthorns. And even with a double slipstream, Beaver couldn't get through. It's going to have to be in the corners. He looks to the inside of the penultimate turn. Can't go through. And it went wide. There's the mistake. Just about to say it. The mistakes are going to have to come. And Beaver goes straight through. Bob Nova to the outside as well on Not a Supra. And you've got to strike when you can. Oh, he's on the grass. He's just about going to make it work. Zach's going to gain on both of them. Surely he's not going to make it 3 wide. There's not enough space really at this circuit, but he might well take Bob Nova, who's a bit wide into turn 1. Is Zach alongside? It looks like he is. And he's got a chance here. The Porsche are out in the dirt and the gravel on the outside of the turn. Zach on the inside. Bob Nova can brake later on the outside, but can he run it all the way round at turn 2? No. and Zach gets through. Bob Nova trying to take advantage of a mistake in front, ends up losing a place.
Yeah, Zach on the inside through Druids right there, and there's just not, you're not going to come back on the outside like Bob Nova was trying to do. So Zach just took advantage of the situation. Bob Nova tried to find a way around Super. Zach saw the opportunity, just jumped in that hole, filled it, and now has found his way around. Bob Nova making his way back up a little bit, back up to 11th. And Bob Nova fighting back on the outside. Zach's going to be able to defend it. We jump back here a little bit. Oh, Bob Nova goes around.
No. Oh, and in the wall hard as well. Front and rear. That is big trouble. Well, he's got it back again, so maybe he doesn't have too much of an issue there, but that could be damage. Maybe it's not damage we can particularly see, but looks like he might have damage. There's a bit of contact there. He's trying to sneak down the inside of Zach, although I've got to say there wasn't much room there at all for him to do that. And, well, he spins around into the wall. That is a shame for Bob Nova to leave the group in that way.
Zach coming down into the pits for a second stop here. I'm not sure what this is about. Did they have a little contact right there that gave Zach a little damage? I'm not quite sure, but didn't look like it.
It's a drive-through. He's got a black flag by the looks of that. I thought that just meant he had to slow down because he cut Westfield too much, but no. He's hit the incident limit after only 36 minutes. That's a big concern because the incident limit, first of all, what is the actual number? I need to get the number. 16 for the first drive-through. It's 8 subsequently for the next drive-through, and then another 8 after that, and you're disqualified. If he continues at that rate, he'll be very nearly disqualified by the end of the race.
I didn't think, we had our eyes on Zach for quite a bit of this race. I didn't really see a lot of contact there, so I'm not sure where all those incidents came from. But unfortunately, he's had a really good run going, but he's still going to come out about 11th after that stop and go. So we'll see if he can make his way back up there, but unfortunate for him for sure.
Well, that last 4X would have been sealed by Bob Nova, and so they would have had to get 12X to that point. You've got to imagine there's some contact involved there, and some off-tracks as well. Very easy to get off-tracks, of course, here at Brands Hatch. Very tricky circuit, as we've said, but yeah, you wouldn't expect to see somebody getting a drive-through this early on, or indeed at all, really, at this circuit. But there you go. I haven't seen too many of those, actually, people hitting the incident limit this season, but yeah, there we go. We've seen it there. Just 16x over the course of an hour should be manageable for these drivers. But Zach falls afoul of it and actually only drops to 11th because such is the gap that's behind him. There's Dickinson, who is still on a big fuel save here. He's now over 3 seconds behind Simply Steve, who's comfortably leading this race.
Yeah, Simply Steve taking advantage of Dickinson's fuel struggles here. Got about a 3-second lead over right here, so let's see. I think what he's going to try to do here, if Dickinson is saving fuel until he can make a final push, it's to Steve's benefit to just try to make as big a gap here as he can.
Well, Steve is 8th in the championship, 98 points behind Dickinson going into today, so it's going to be very difficult for him to gain the points required there, but nevertheless, Dickinson's got to be getting very close to a championship now. We're very sure of that because of the way he's been driving so far, as Pebbles off the road there, just in front of these guys. Thankfully out the way in time as Beaver looks to make his 12th overtake of the race. Another one coming up here on Long Island Nerd, but that's going to be very difficult on a Mustang here with no other cars around. That Mustang's strong in a straight line, and that's not ideal when you're trying to make an overtake.
Beaver just does not have that pace on that front straight to make up any ground on Long Island Nerd. I think he's going to, if it looks like they're starting to gain it on Corn Dog right there in front of him. You can see him just off the screen. If they can get up in there, Beaver's made a lot of passes, just taking advantage of people fighting in front of him and making a few mistakes. So, but you can see here through the technical section, Beaver is much quicker than Long Island Nerd. It's only when they get on those long straightaways that Long Island is able to pull away from him.
Oh, it's a bit of a slide, and yeah, you can see immediately that point being explained because Beaver gets the better exit, and he's tucked right in behind the Mustang. Oh, and he's lifts off there. Long Island Nerd was trying to negotiate a pass. He wanted Beaver to go through. Maybe realises there's more than 20 minutes to go. The driver behind is much faster, and so, well, I'm much more likely to finish in 9th if I let him through than finish in 8th place trying to defend. So he lets Beaver past. Maybe that's a fuel game again going on there for Long Island Nerd that he needs to save in the Mustang. That might be a bit thirstier than some of the other manufacturers, but Beaver was let through there, but nearly crashed into the back of him while he was doing it.
Yeah, Joshua Spears here with a... Is he disconnected or...
Yeah, maybe. Disconnect.
I'm not seeing him on the racetrack anymore, so... Unfortunate there for Dickinson's teammate, but we'll jump back up here. This battle with Beaver. I just saw him kind of dropping down through the... I couldn't tell what was going on there. I saw him dropping down through the lineup, or excuse me, through the standings. Looks like he is out of the race.
Well, it's a real shame. Day should be gaining points on Sean Dickinson, of course, in the championship if Dickinson's going to have to stop again. He wasn't here last week. Don't forget, Rudskogen as well, so this will have to become a drop round for him, as Dickinson will have some points taken away from him for the championship with the drop rounds. At the moment, if the race were to end as it is, that will be about 40-ish for Sean Dickinson, but of course drop rounds means that he can't lose quite that many points in especially the last round. But anyway, that's bad timing for Joshua Spears, and bad timing for SimCity Racing as well. So the prospect of neither of them finishing on the podium starts to just come into view a little bit here tonight. Yeah,
let me take a look here at Prince Adams, close up on the back of Zach. We look back at Teagish running that fifth spot, trying to chase down Nodovan, slid off the racetrack just a little bit. So here we look at Prince Adam now on the back of Zach. So Zach gets a chance to defend one more time. We're going to give him the, if there's an award at the end of the season for best defender, we're going to give it to Zach for sure.
Well, he's been defending so far for most of this race. That's not ideal for Prince Adam. Garlic Dog there showing that, well, that wasn't great getting out the way, unfortunately. If you are going to do it, and of course you don't have to in sports car racing, but if you are going to do it, then try not to sit on the racing line would be the advice. Fortunately, Prince Adam just had to skirt around him there a little bit around the final corner, redo some of that work to try and catch back up again. This is the biggest group in the on the circuit. Sector, Biker Pilot and Cat Daddy for 15th place here in the field. 2 Porsches behind the Corvette. And again, the Porsche not so strong in a straight line, really. So we'll see how the two of them try and work their way past.
Watching practice earlier, that livery there on Biker Pilot with team, I think it's his teammate as well. That's a really good looking livery on that car. I might see if I can get that from him if I buy a Porsche here pretty soon. But a good battle here with Sector Biker Pilot right now, back here in 15th and 16th. So we're just kind of finding some battles throughout the field wherever we possibly can right now.
Bit of a Canadian-US mashup, isn't it?
Yeah.
I noticed the American flag is getting less prominent on Biker Pilot's car as the season goes on. and the Canadian flag is starting to appear more on the left. Maybe I'm misremembering the flag early on. From what I remember early in the season, Biker Pilot effectively ran a full American flag car and his teammate ran a full Canadian flag. Obviously, it's the opposite of their nationalities. Biker Pilot is Canadian, as you can see from the note. And I can't remember quite who his teammate is at the moment. It will come to me a bit later. But anyway, that's the
I think it's
the situation
it's
there.
Y,
anyway.
Y Omega is his teammate.
Right, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, Cat Daddy finds a way around Biker Pilot as we were watching that as well. So up to 16th. Or look up here at Zach, still in a tight battle here with Prince Adam as well. Is that Urko right there behind him?
Urko lurking in the background as well. Lap traffic in front here. This is Pebble, who's going to stay out the way to the left-hand side out of turn 4. And Beaver makes another place. Corn Dog gets past. But, well, anyway, let's see if Prince Adam can get past Zach here. Now outside. Oh, contact! Contact into Hawthorne's, and that's where it can go wrong. That's why Dickinson's move was so impressive earlier. The fact that it just didn't look very difficult at all. That is exactly what it is. It's very hard to do, and there was contact there.
And speaking of Dickinson, looks like he may have had an off here about a lap ago. We'll jump back here and take a look at this real quick. Just wide off the corner, off into the grass, lost a little more time. Didn't hurt him too bad, so yeah. But he's still about
just pushing hard, isn't it?
Yeah, just about 2 seconds now to simply. I think what he's doing, I think he's decided now not to try to save any fuel, and now he's pushing.
Look at the traffic here, by the way. This is, oh dear, off. Garlic Dog staying out the way, and there goes Steve down the inside, I think. Oh, and off, Biker Pilot. It is the driver we were just watching there. Biker Pilot there wide, and this is terrible news for the race leader. You don't want to be embarking on a group like this in front of you. Thankfully, Zach Prince Animan, Urko, a little bit further up the road here. This is that group, of course, a little bit further back with Sector and Catley now, who are still nose to tail. But this is not what you want to see as the race leader, and that is partly why Dickinson is closing.
Yeah, right out 15 minutes left to go. It looks like Dickinson's pushing right now and taking advantage of that situation there where Simply Steve got caught behind that lap car. But they're coming up. They're getting ready to come up on that battle with Cat Daddy and Sector. And neither one of them are obliged to get out of the way, and they're fighting for position right here. So Simply Steve may have his hands full just trying to get around these two lap cars here in the next couple of laps.
So, yeah, it's a very important time in this race. It does seem that the Mustang behind of Sean Dickinson has stopped fuel saving, doesn't it, in these last couple of moments? He's started to put the pace on again. Now, whether that is a case of, well, I'm not going to make it to the end anyway, so let's just push and see what happens, or whether he said, I can make it now, I've done the fuel saving, now I can push. It remains to be seen. It's two very different mindsets, but Dickinson's closing, there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt traffic's playing a role here as well, as Steve has to be the first driver to put these guys a lap down, and he's going to have to do it to Sector here, who's in 15th place. We've also got, oh dear, we've got one of the Porsches already a couple of laps down here. Oh, just in front, that comes straight to pit lane, that was Pebble, and Steve had to just slow down at the final corner there to avoid going straight into the back of the Porsche there. Pebble comes in to serve a drive-through penalty, and Steve now is under real pressure from Dickinson in the final 15 minutes.
Yeah, Cat Daddy got out of the way right there, both these two, and it's always easier for that second car. Once that leader goes by, the lap cars will kind of move out of the way, so that second place car has a much easier way to get, much easier getting past the lap cars. And you can see how this has worked out for Dickinson now. Right on the back bumper is Simply Steve. We saw this early in the race when Steve first took the lead. So let's see, he's got about little less than 14 minutes, 13 and a half minutes left in this race. Let's see if he can hang on for this lead. He has got Dickinson all just filling up his rearview mirror right now.
Absolutely. It is all in at the moment for these two. Trying to get this race win. Oh, and wide for Steve there. You can see the pressure getting to him here, maybe. Through Horn, he's won again. Oh, he's off 2 corners in a row, and Steve loses the lead now. The pressure immediately getting to him here. 13 minutes to go, and Dickinson slips straight through. The only hope Steve has now is a slowdown. Another pit stop here for Dickinson, because at this rate, on pure speed, Dickinson is going to win this race.
Yeah, not sure if Simply Steve just made the mistake there or was looking in the mirror, not looking forward, made 2 mistakes, 2 corners in a row there, and that's going to let Dickinson get past. So I think Simply Steve's driven a great race right here. If he can still hold on to second, or hopefully, Dickinson has made a couple of mistakes here. He needs to stay close and capitalize on if he does make one more mistake throughout this race. We got about 12 minutes left to go.
Yeah, 12 minutes. So too far out really to work out how many laps to go, but maybe about 8, 9, maybe 9. No, probably 8, something like that. Anyway, I said it's too early, and then I tried. But yeah, it's too far anyway to really work out. And Dickinson must hope that he knows how long is remaining in this race. We will, as I say, find out. I think, well, maybe it will be 9. Anyway, he has to hope that he's got enough fuel here, because early on it certainly didn't look like he did. We'll see in the next 10 minutes or so if there's guys behind starting to come into pit lane again for a second scheduled pit stop, then we'll know that Dickinson does have something to worry about.
Yeah, a few laps ago we saw Beaver get past Corn Dog for that 6th spot. Now Long Island Nerd has made up some ground. Little wiggle right there off the corner, but Long Island Nerd has now made up some ground on Corn Dog here, trying to get by for 7th, trying to work his way up through the field, up 3 spots, started in 11th, up to 8th. Beaver, definitely our big mover of the race, started way back in 20th, up to 6th right now, and he's got about 5 seconds to catch up to Teagish here, but putting down some good laps. We'll see if he can keep closing that gap, see if he can get himself into the top 5 after starting way unexpectedly be way towards the back of the field.
He's got to sort that qualifying out, hasn't he? Because he can get some big results if he can. His best lap so far is a 22.6, and that maybe puts him about where he is now, in all honesty, but that was set on the last lap. So goodness knows what he could have done earlier in the race, maybe with some fresher tyres. That's the best lap of the race set very recently, and that just shows, doesn't it? The fact that he's setting a best lap of the race now, nobody else is doing that in the field, and that's because he's finally in clear air for the first time tonight, and finally able to set these times, whereas everybody else set their best laps earlier when their tyres were fresher and they were in clean air. Beaver has got to find a way to qualify these in these races a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking up at the YouTube chat, and it looks like we got ETM Dust, or Edema Dust, I'm not sure how to say that, saying he's listening to the in-car radio, saying a couple of drivers apologizing for Steve for not seeing him coming and not getting out of the way, so may have hurt Steve's chances to hold on to that lead. And he is now 9 seconds back. Is that, am I seeing that right? No, only a second back. I was looking at that wrong. Sorry. So he's still holding on. About a second back right now. Actually, a little bit less now. So he's closed in a little bit on Dickinson. So doing everything he can to hold on. Just capitalize. Just hope Dickinson can make a mistake here. But Steve just doing a good job keeping pace right now.
It was 9 laps. I think Modest was right. Now 7. Which, I mean, it's a 43-lap race here tonight. Which is, I think... well, I think they're expecting actually to tip over into 44. But anyway, if Dickinson has saved a bit of fuel to do 22 laps on this second run, and this race is only 43 laps, then he will get home with enough fuel on board. But he can't afford for this race to be too fast, otherwise he won't make it. So I think that's the situation anyway. But yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but that last message, by the way, about drivers not seeing Steve. The comment made by drivers almost looks like it's written and has therefore been said in a sarcastic way, as if to say they were trying to get in his way. I'm not sure that's probably not true. And what you said earlier on about the leader punching the hole for the rest of the field is probably more likely to be the case. That Steve was the first guy putting these guys a lap down, and that is always a lot harder than putting people lap down when you're already in second place. You already know you're a lap down.
Yeah, you know, I've seen that a lot in my years of racing. When you're the leader and you're coming up to lap somebody, they may not see you coming, but once you get past, they realize the rest of the field's coming and can move down out of the way, and that's exactly what happened. But here, we're looking at our battle laps right here, and it's simply Steve now running much better laps. The last couple of laps has gained within a half a second over the last 2 laps of Dickinson, so now right on his back bumper. We're going to have a fight here to the end, the last 8 minutes of this race, unless Dickinson's kind of backing up to him a little bit, saving a little bit more fuel. We'll see if there's a little strategy coming into play here, or if simply Steve is just outpacing him right now.
Well, he's right there, isn't he? He's just hanging back at the moment. Let me just confirming that, yeah, it's just that they're surprised that the leaders are coming up on them. It always happens. So who's going to be next up for these guys? It should be Jen next. And that's a bit of a way away. They're in that gap now between Jen and Cat Daddy. If you see the gap there on the tower, 13.5 seconds is the margin at the moment. But there may be some guys going a second lap down who might be negotiated out front. You can see a Mustang there just up ahead of these guys for the moment. Joshua Spears is a lap down, and it looks like it is him. Spears 25th overall. He lost 4 laps, or he's about to go a 4th lap down after that disconnection earlier on. Just under 7 minutes to go now, and a big points loss, sadly, for Joshua Spears tonight because of that.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate. He was running good, right up in the, right outside the top 5. That disconnect, unfortunate. But he's able to get back in the race, going to get at least whatever points he can, recover out of it, but I don't think he's going to do much better than about 24th or 25th at this point.
No. Oh, hello. This is Urko and Zach again. Now, these guys could be caught before the end of the race, by the way, especially if they fight. Well, they're quite a long way ahead of Jen and Sassy, I suppose, so they'd have to fight quite a lot, but it's not out of the possibilities, to be honest, because we know that Zach has been defending hard, and why not, for the most of this race so far, and Urko's been trying to make some passes here tonight. Up 11 so far today, by the way. That's tied second most with Prince Adam, looking to make it a 12th here and get into 11th place.
Good battle going on there. We look at Beaver. Beaver kind of settled into the 6th position, kind of about 9 seconds up to Teagish and 8 seconds back to Long Island, so just going to kind of run his own race right there. I think he's pretty much peaked right there in that 6th position unless something happens in front of him. I heard Urko was practicing a lot this week. Looks like he's been practicing, taking a look to the outside. Is that going to try to cross back up underneath through Druids right there? Back to the inside. But Zach doing a good job cutting off that bottom line, defending one more time.
Have all the drivers in the in the sessions, the online sessions that we know we have on a Friday, a Thursday, Friday, a Sunday, and a Tuesday rather. Before the session, Long Island Nerd has been the one who's been doing over 150 laps in session from him this week, which is really quite a lot of time in the sim. It's nearly 3.5 hours just in this official sessions, never mind offline, whether he's been doing any of that. Zerko gets very close and goes off. A little bit wide. Surprised we've not seen more of that, see, at Dingledale yet. But a little bit wide over the top of the hill. And Zach keeps 11th for now. The battle for the lead still under a second. Dickinson is about to come through to complete another lap here. It's pretty close, between 3 laps or 4 to go. We expected at the start of the day 44 laps, and that would put Dickinson out of the question for making it here. But as the time ticks away, it's close again. Oh, it's really close, isn't it? We'll just note down the time remaining as he goes over the line now. 4 minutes, 10 seconds. Now, he needs to do a 1:23.4 or slower on all of these last 3 laps. Otherwise, he's going to see the white flag when he wants to see the checkered flag. And he's got to slow down while also keeping Steve behind him. This is a pretty difficult balancing act now.
Yeah, Steve just sitting back there just hoping he runs out of fuel. Just give me one more chance here to get to the lead. It's going to come right down to the end. It's we haven't had a race all year long except for that one at Daytona when they were in the rain. They came down to the last lap, but we might just see that here one more time here with Simply Steve less than a second, about 0.7 of a second behind Dickinson right now. It's 13 seconds back to Captain CK in the third. So this is our fight for the lead for sure. Nobody else is going to be anywhere close.
Dickinson doesn't look like a driver who's trying to slow this race down to prevent it from going an extra lap. Maybe he thinks that he's done it now already at the top at Dingledale. He might be thinking he can get slowed down now by these lap cars just up in front as well. He runs a little bit wide there. That'll be an off track. I hope that he's got some of the 16 left inside to hold on here. Oh, there he goes. Has to slow down a little bit as Sassy has to come to the pit lane. There's one driver who hasn't made it. Jen just in front here. This could be the last bit of lap traffic here today as over the line. So 1:22.5. Dickinson's going fast at the moment. And I just wonder whether what he's thinking at the moment. Because at that pace, this will be a 44-lap race.
Yeah, Dickinson clears Sassy right there. Brings Simply. You can see right there, just kind of get Sassy saw Simply Steve coming, got out of the way, but Dickinson looks to be pushing a little bit harder. I think you're right. I think you're right there, Ewan. Dickinson pushed a little bit harder, putting a little bit of distance here, about 5 or 6 car lengths here just in the last couple of corners. So Simply Steve doing everything he can to get back up there to the back bumper, but just not able to hang on right now. We got just a couple laps left to go here at most. If we hit the 2-minute mark, maybe just one more lap after we hit the flag. I'm not quite sure.
Well, we're going to have to keep watching to see whether the white flag's waving, because if it is, then that will be obvious when the race is ending. In my experience, the white flag doesn't always wave before the checkered, actually. Oh dear, as somebody's been right off and right across the circuit here. Let's just see as we come towards the start-finish line here. Dickinson will hope to see the white flag, but I'm not sure he's going to. At the end of this lap. Let's find out as we cross the line. There is the starter, and white flag's in hand, but it's not waving. There's still 1:24 or so to go there, and Dickinson has not quite got this right. If he wants to slow this down for another lap, I think he's going to see white flag next time round, and this checker flag's going to wave the one after. If that is going to be Dickinson out of things, well, what does that mean for this race? Can he slow down enough to make iRacing flow the checkered flag despite not seeing the white? It is possible, but Steve has got a massive opportunity to go past in that situation. Dickinson certainly has slowed down in this first sector.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Dickinson's just hoping he can slow it down enough that they're going to throw the checker here, because I think he's going to be a lap short on fuel. Simply Steve trying to put a little pressure on him. I think he needs to get closer, put more pressure on him to force Dickinson to push a little bit harder if he wants to keep this win. We are coming up to the end of this race right now.
Oh, we never thought Brands Hatch would be such a tight race on fuel, but It's turning out to be for the Mustangs especially, as Steve gets really close. Oh, he's going to go for it in the penultimate corner anyway. Oh, if this is the final lap, he's trying to take it on this last lap, and it's slowing Dickinson down more. He doesn't know whether to try now or try later as Dickinson comes into the final turn. The seconds are ticking down. Is it going to be checker flag this time round? 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. No, a second to go and the white flag waves now. Dickinson has got to hang on for another lap here. Has he got the fuel in that Mustang to hold on here ahead of Steve, who's going to get a run into turn 2? He's on the outside. Dickinson has got to defend as much as possible, and maybe he's still got some fuel saving to do, even on this last lap of the race.
Simply Steve doing everything he can. I think Dickinson's just kind of backing off just a little bit. If we could see his telemetry, I don't think he's full throttle back in the car just a little bit. Simply Steve doing everything he can right here. We got about half a lap left to go in this race. And one of the first races this year, we don't know who's going to win it. So Simply Steve doing everything he can to get up around Dickinson right there. So this last couple of corners here left to go.
Has he done enough, Dickinson? Has he done enough? He's still got the pressure from Steve here. He's passed the most difficult part for overtaking, and now he's into the fast Grand Prix circuit where it's much harder to pass. Here goes Steve through Dingledale. He was close here before, don't forget. He might have another look here at the penultimate corner. No, it's been tight between these two in the final minutes, but Steve looks like he's just going to miss out here. Is Dickinson going to run out to the line? Oh, he defends the inside of the final turn. Steve goes round the outside. Final corner of the race.
He's
Dickinson
out of fuel.
Doesn't have enough.
He's out of fuel.
Oh, Simply Steve wins here. He's out of fuel, Dickinson. And for the first time, beaten in a straight fight, Dickinson loses here to Simply Steve. A pass on the final corner. He would have known Dickinson. He didn't have enough fuel. He was saving as much as he could towards the end, but it wasn't quite enough. He loses out by 5 seconds. He runs out on the run to the line, and Steve steals the win in the final meters of the race.
Steve did everything he had to do right there. Just kept the pressure on Dickinson. Dickinson was trying to slow the pace down as much as he could. Like you said, trying to shorten the race up as much as possible so he didn't run out of fuel. Steve just kept the pressure on him. Dickinson just still wanted to hold on to that win. Just kept pushing, pushed as much as he had. And unfortunately, just was not enough. Runs out of fuel on the last corner. Simply Steve was just a great drive. Going to get his first win on the season.
Well, what a fantastic drive. And what a great race between the two as well. It's clear that in a normal day, on a 43-lap race, Dickinson would have won that handsomely, but that's not how racing works. Have a look at it again. He defends. He's out at this point, isn't he? Just before the bridge. He defends. He does all he can, but, you know, he loses out by nearly 5 seconds in the end. Realistically, I mean, how much fuel would it have required there to go from the bridge to the line there? I mean,
just a splash.
Milliliters it would have taken. Just a little bit of fuel and he would have made it. And Dickinson now will be running through his head all of those moments where he could have saved just a smidge more fuel to make it to the line there.
Yeah, you know, he did everything he had to do. I think, you know, if he could have, he made a couple of mistakes early, lost a little bit of ground. I think if he had a chance to get those back, he would have had enough of a gap on Simply Steve. Even running out of fuel on the last lap to keep the win. So just an exciting race right here for sure. Simply Steve getting his first win of the season here at Brands Hatch. We've been looking forward to this race all week, and it really paid off.
Yeah, it wasn't as difficult. Now it turned to overtaking as I was fearing, which is a first positive, but also a great finish to the race as well, which is a big positive at the end of the day. Let's have a look at the race results as everybody's made their way over the line. Oh, 25 of them, I should say, after most of them finishing here today, which is unusual, but unusual for Brands Hatch and positive, certainly. Simply Steve wins, though, ahead of Dickinson by 5 seconds in the end. Captain CK, rather lonely race, but gets a podium. Not of him finishes in 4th, ahead of Tigis, with Beaver gaining 14 places to finish 6th. Long Island Nerd holds off Corndog and Not Super to the line there, with Prince Adam running up the top 10. Zach just ahead of Urko, who was just 1 lap down, first driver 1 lap down. See, Jen, Catlani and Sector rounded out the top 15. Further down, Yomega was 16th, ahead of Sassy. Then Bob Nova, Lamp, who rounds out the top 20. Huzia Dallas, 21st, ahead of Pancakes, the last driver, 1 lap down. Corrido 2 down, Pebble 3 down. Joshua Spears 4 down after his disconnection. Garlic Dog and Squilliam, the only drivers actually not to see the checkered flag, which is, again, very low attrition rate for Brands Hatch, which is very good news. Let's have a chat to Simply Steve then, shall we? Our race winner here at Brands Hatch tonight. And Steve, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Congratulations on the win. Just tell us how much you actually knew about the situation here for Dickinson. Of course, in the commentary box, we get all sorts of information fed to us right from where it's all happening. But you don't get that, or at least I don't think so. How much were you aware of the situation that was going on?
Yeah, so luckily I had my crew chief in my corner, which to my teammate Eat My Dust, Lucas, had him in my corner, and I don't think I could have been doing the math and drive at the same time because it's just kind of a lot. So I did kind of know what was going on. I knew that we were close on the laps, and yeah, it took a while to figure out how close Sean was. I sort of started to figure it out because I know Sean has crazy pace, like he's really quick. So as soon as Sean starts to come back at you, you start to kind of ask some questions, like something's afoot, something's not right.
But, especially early on, right in the first stint of the race, actually made a mistake on the first couple of laps, kept him behind for a little while in the opening part of the race. So you seem to keep pace with him quite well as well. Is this a circuit you've been looking forward to on this calendar, one that you go well at?
I mean, I've raced here in the past. I don't think Brands for me is like my favorite track in the world, but I've done a lot of laps here in different cars, and it's certainly real fun to race. So I wouldn't say it's my favorite track of all time, but I definitely it's not a bad track to be at of all the tracks. So yeah, I was definitely happy to be within touching distance of Sean. I made a few of my own mistakes too, which was unfortunate, but I feel like whenever I'm able to keep up with Sean, who's kind of setting the pace most these days, pretty happy. So.
Oh, congratulations on that win here tonight, Stephen. Thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Of course. Shout out to my teammate and my girlfriend, Natalie.
Thanks very much. Simply Steve, winner here tonight from Brands Hatch in the J2ICS GT3 Championship. Sean Dickinson finishes in second place tonight. And Sean, congratulations on another podium, but of course you may be a little bit disappointed at the end of that one. Talk us through the last few laps there as you were trying to see out the race, reduce the amount of laps in the race, and of course making it on fuel all at the same time. Just tell us about those final few laps.
Yeah, it was a bit of a struggle. I messed up in the first stint, and I wanted to catch back up to Steve, but he wasn't saving fuel. I wasn't saving fuel. And we realized after that, once we started to calculate some numbers, since unfortunately it's a heat setup, so like none of our calculators work, but we were trying to do math, and I was trying to get an extra lap. So I actually let him go, but I still couldn't get to the extra lap to make the end like work. So I was fuel saving the whole time, and I got so close. I ran out of fuel in the very last corner on the very last lap after holding him up for like 2 laps, saving strategically where I could, where he couldn't make a pass. But it sucks to let him go that close to the finish line.
Yeah, I can imagine. Even though you've had such a great season, I can imagine this one will be disappointing for you. I mean, tell us why this circuit was so tight on fuel, because it wasn't just you who was pretty close. I mean, pretty much everybody this week, normally we see quite a wide pit stop window. This week, everybody seemed to come in with half an hour gone, half an hour to go. Why was it such a fuel heavy circuit round here?
Well, I think one contributing factor was the fact that it was starting in the rain and ending to dry, so the practice sessions weren't the most representative because you couldn't run a fully dry session or a fully wet session. So people didn't really know, and it's East Coast time versus West Coast time, so that added to it. But the manner of this track is you pretty much brake, set the car into the corner, and then you're wide open. So this track, you're wide open more of the time than a lot of tracks. All those backhand fast corners, like you're literally just tip the wheel, gun it, every single one of them. So I think that's what's killing the fuel and why everyone was getting so tight at the end.
It was a very interesting race because of it, although you did end up on the wrong side of it. Congrats, Sean, on another strong finish, though, at least in second, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to Sebring. I hope that doesn't happen again.
Maybe we need every race where everyone's clinging on fuel.
Right.
But anyway, no, we'll see you next week.
See ya.
That's Sean Dickinson second tonight, and looking forward to Sebring already in 7 days' time, which is our next race, by the way, at live, same time, same place. Captain CK is our driver who finishes in third place tonight. And CK, welcome in. Good to have you with us. I mean, we didn't see much of you tonight, I've got to admit. Third place, where you qualified, where you finished. How was your evening?
It was a great evening. Like I put my practice in. I was really happy with the pace I had. I just kept it on black stuff, and to be fair, I ended up pretty much all alone for more than half the race. But still, sometimes that can make it hard. Like keep focusing on not doing any mistakes, which I started doing at the end. Did a couple of mistakes here and there. I was like, yeah, let's not do that. And really happy with the result, to be fair.
Yeah, I can imagine so. First top 5 of the season, never mind a podium place. How have the races you have been at been? Because we haven't been able to talk to you this season. I know you've not been every round, but how have you found this season so far?
It's great. I love like the turnout, lots of drivers around, lots of new faces. It's really enjoyable. It seems like GT3 and the track selection is really popular with people, and the format also. I think the slightly shorter races compared to last season. I really enjoy it. Like I'm happy. I'll be there for the end of the season. Less busy for now, so I'm happy to be racing.
Well, it's still 3 rounds to go for you to get back on the grid. So look forward to that. For now, CK, congratulations on the podium tonight, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Well, thanks guys, and have a great one. Thanks for your work. Thank you.
Thanks very much. He's Captain CK, third place here tonight at Brands Hatch. But Simply Steve is our winner, and what a race it was. As I was saying to Sean a couple of moments ago, Chris, I think it's a great idea to get everybody so tight on fuel, and maybe more specifically get Sean Dickinson really close on fuel, because that does seem to help it keep the race a little bit closer. No disrespect to the others, but that was the race of the season so far, and we'll do well to get a better finish than that.
Definitely the race of the season for sure. Just it's I've done a lot of circle track racing and been covering a lot of circle track racing. So getting out and doing the GT3, getting to see these strategies play out, getting to watch Dickinson. I mean, all race long, he's playing a strategy right there. He realizes he's having trouble with fuel, tries to back it down, tries to shorten the race up. But, Steve, like we said earlier, Steve did everything he had to do to keep pushing him, and take that strategy away from Dickinson just a little bit. And Steve comes away with the win.
Well, an amazing win from Steve, and, his first of the season, as you might imagine. He moved into 8th place, by the way, in the last week's race in the standings. He will move a long way further up than that here tonight, that is for sure. Possibly even into the top 5, actually, at the end of today, after that great victory. Still 3 rounds to go, of course. We'll be live with all of them. Remember that the week after next, we have a week off, so don't get caught out by that. But next week, we are back again, same time, same place. It's the first of our American doubleheader as we finish up here in Europe for the final time this season in the Parabolic Companies J2ICS GT3 Championship. Season 11 of our championship here from Brands Hatch is the final European race. Next week from Sebring, it will be an hour long as always, other than the Crown Jewels, of course, but for the 8 rounds, as always, at Sebring. And then the week off, and then Bellal and Bathurst doubleheader to round out the season as well. All live here, of course, and we very much look forward to it. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside Chris Murphy here tonight in the Parabolic Companies J2ICS GT3 Championship. Big thanks to everyone who's been tuned in at home. We look forward to seeing you again next week at Sebring. But from all of us here from Brands Hatch, it's goodbye for now.
Cool.